Lots of liquidations in the crypto space. The altcoins are in sell-off mode. And are we ever gonna see new all-time highs? Are you wondering as well, are we gonna see another altcoin season? In this video, we wanna take a look at 3 altcoins that in my opinion still have a chance to rally to new all-time highs. And I'll also give you my price targets. Let's go. Yeah, hello, my name is Ben and welcome to another MCO video. Today we want to take a look at 3 altcoins that still have a chance to rally to new all-time highs. So I'll give you not only the long-term outlook, long-term targets, all-time high targets. I'll also give you some trading ideas, how from an Elliott wave point of view these 3 altcoins could be traded. I would say we start straight away. I want to start straight away. We'll take a look at one indicator before we take a look at these price charts. And this is the Fear and Greed Index. I explained what that is in one of the previous Bitcoin videos, but it is a sentiment-based indicator that just taken by itself, I feel is not so relevant because yes, it tells us when the market is overall, let's say oversold, you could say, or when there's a lot of fear in the market. Yes, this is focused on Bitcoin, but obviously the Bitcoin sentiment kind of represents what we also see in the altcoin sector. It's a really good gauge for understanding what's happening in the crypto space. And at the moment, we are kind of around fear, extreme fear. We see that when we zoom in a little bit here, see we are nearly in the extreme fear range, at least based on this one. I mean, there are different fear and greed index calculators around, or calculations, metrics, but this one shows us that we're nearly in extreme fear. So technically there's still some more space. But if you take a look at the previous bear market, in the bear market decline, there were multiple readings of extreme fear, and they haven't always led to a significant bounce. So you could have bought pretty much the top here in 2021 with an extreme fear reading. But it is helpful when we understand this sentiment, which is, yeah, extreme fear. Most people are fearful with the Elliott wave structures. So when, for example, I see it in a way that when we are in a support area or close to the end of a correction based on Elliott wave, and we have an extreme fear reading, that can be very, very interesting. So I just use it as additional factor to, I consider it as additional factor to understand what's going on and if there is a good chance for an upside turnaround. Now let's take a look at these charts. So which are the 3 altcoins that I still see as relevant and potentially as good charts in this space? Now, first one is Solana. And I know a lot of people say that Solana has already topped, and I said that already when we were at the top, that we now have minimum requirements in place to complete all 5 waves are completed, right? You might remember that if you watched my previous videos, also on this channel, there's one long-term video about Solana in which I highlighted that, look, this top up here visually completes an Elliott wave structure. So I'm very much open to the idea that we could have topped, but I have to rule out one more bullish scenario, let's say directly bullish scenario, before I can confirm a long-term top has been struck, which means we are overall in a topping region, and the risk is just high that we are just dropping into a large wave 2 correction that we talked about in our last video, which could send the market maybe into the $40 to $50 range, maybe even lower. I mean, a wave 2 can be very deep and scare a lot of people. However, my take is that from a fundamental point of view, which I don't normally focus too much on, but from a fundamental point of view, the current sell-off could be accelerated by the token unlock, which is coming. But afterwards, there are not going to be so many token unlocks anymore in the next few years, at least not to that degree and that magnitude. Also, looking at the chart here, I see this as a so-called ABC structure, and that C wave has now reached a key support area between $103 and $132. So I still see the chance for one more high. This chart is a solid upside impulse. It doesn't show so much relative strength at the moment anymore due to the strong sell-off that we've seen over recent weeks, but I already told you what the catalyst for that might have been. And I think we could go a little bit lower, but overall, I think this is a decent reward to risk ratio. I mean, even if you set the stop below the $100 mark, for example, and this is still a very hot knife to catch. I mean, it's still in decline. I would not suggest, I can't give you financial advice. This is just chart analysis. I'm purely highlighting here what could be generally reasonable from an Elliott wave trader point of view what could be reasonable to do, what sort of best practice is, what is typically recommended from an Elliott wave point of view. And typically it can make sense to slowly look for positions as the market declines. The relative strength index is also oversold. As mentioned in previous updates, this has historically led to significant recovery rallies, even if they were just short-term recovery rallies, but still significant. Last time we had a similar level was in 2023. So a significant rally followed afterwards. And all of that together indicates that we should be close to a bounce, or let's say close to a low. And yeah, as long as we're still in sell-off mode, it can make sense to look for positions, but small positions accumulation. I would really want to see the price go a little bit lower ideally though. So I myself wouldn't probably be interested until the price gets more into the region between $120 and 102. But still, this could be interesting because even if you say, I mean, you have to decide where you want to stop out. Could it be maybe below $103, which is the 161.8 extension? Normally, we would say a C wave ideally doesn't go below that level. But even if you do that, let's just measure reward and risk, because where should the price get to? Ideally, the $360 to $380 range, that has not changed. Always keep in mind the long-term top could have been struck already, so you need to apply general position size management best practices, risk management best practices. So, but even then, even if you give it a lot of space and set the stop even down here, I mean, what we're normally looking for when we're trading is at least a reward to risk ratio of 3, I would say, because then you can get away even with the win rate below 50%. And even if you set the stop down there around $60, $55, it's still a reason, a reward to risk ratio of 3. And if it goes lower, it will be even better. Okay, so I think this is still a reasonable trade. Now that takes us to the smaller time frame, which I don't want to spend much time on, but I just want to communicate that while the Solana chart still offers good upside potential, there is no evidence at the moment that a local low has formed. So I think there is still the chance for at least one more low. I need to see minimally a break above $206 to indicate a low is in. Why do I say that? Because I don't want to communicate that a low is in. I'm just highlighting a pattern structure that we are approaching key levels, key support. I see the potential for a rebound very, very shortly. Good reward to risk ratio, but I would not get aggressive with long trades, futures long trades, until we see maybe a breakout above resistance and a higher low in the next pullback. At the moment though, as long as we are, I would say above $100, this is still a chart that I would consider a chart that has a chance to rally to new all-time highs in this cycle. Let's take a look at the next one, which is actually the XRP chart. And I also want to start at the longer time frame. So we might have to, yeah, this is the longer time frame. Really, from a bigger picture point of view, XRP hasn't really done much in recent days. It's actually holding up really well. In my opinion, short-term, one of the stronger charts. Here, I would argue, we also have a decent reward to risk ratio, but not as good as on the Solana chart, because my view is I see this more as a trading range. My view is that the $1.20 level is important support. Below $1.20, I don't see this anymore as in a bullish structure. So we've got 120 as lower boundary. You could set 420 or $5 as upper boundary, maybe even the 340 level, the all-time high, but maybe even 420 is just slightly above it. So for a range trader, and this is sort of a range trading strategy, and I still expect XRP, by the way, to reach new all-time highs as long as we're holding above 120. So it's a very clear if-then condition, very clear levels that are actionable for traders. The next, really what I would like to see in this cycle is $5, maybe $5.65, stretch target 660. Based on current price data, that can change. It's always a snapshot from what we see right now. And for example, we have to prepare that the market might just continue to move sideways here. So see this as a range. At the moment, we're pretty much in the middle of the range. So from a larger time frame point of view, don't see anything super attractive on the macro level here. But still, it is one of the more healthy charts that has a good chance to reach one more high, because we are far away from invalidating the upside impulse that started in July. And even if we say here, okay, reward to risk ratio, let's say it gets to $5, which I see actually as a reasonable target, but only as long as we're holding 120. From where we are now, if we just say, okay, let's assume we buy now, set the stop below 120. It's not a great reward to risk ratio. It's not bad. It points to 230, 2.3. It's not great. So if I set the stop slightly below $1.20, but if the price goes down lower, maybe even forms one more low here, below the February low, reward to risk ratio will increase. So the idea is this could be approached from a range trading point of view, accumulation in the support zone, and then selling as the market goes higher, approaches the 330, 340 level, or even 420. But if it goes up very aggressively, you might want to decide to hold on to your positions a little longer to maybe take profits closer to the $5 or $6 mark. But this is the longer time frame. This is one way how this can be approached. From a smaller time frame, we actually have quite an interesting 1-2 setup, which is attractive from an Elliott wave point of view. So this means, what is a 1-2 setup? We can make a case that a larger degree correction already finished here in February, and we see this as a first rally in wave 1. Then this would be a wave 2 pullback, the corrective pullback after the first rally. Next, we should see a third wave, wave 4, wave 5, and it could take us to $5 very directly. This gives us a very, very clear stop level, which is the low below the, well, it's the February low essentially at around $1.76. Now, I'm not saying set it there, it will work out. It is just, if you're trading this setup, this is what Elliott wave would generally recommend for a 1-2 setup. It's simple. If you're trading the setup, if it's your trading plan, you have to stop out if it gets invalidated, because if you trade another pattern, that would be a different trading plan. Always stick to your strategy. But this is a 1-2 setup. Price is now in resistance. 246 is resistance. Once it gets above it, it might have bottomed already. That would require further confirmation though. But as long as we stay below 246, one more low could happen. $1.95 is key support. Ideally, we avoid a sustained break below it. Okay, if there is a break below, then this $1.76 level is key. But that gives us a very, very, you could say, tight stop, especially if we compare it to maybe a $5 target. So pretty much more than a 2x profit potential from here. And then the last one I want to point out is SUI. Definitely one of the better looking charts, and one that actually shows some relative strength compared to other charts. Also one that is very extended to the upside. I can say that maybe also here a substantial top has formed. That is not preferred as long as we're holding above support on the daily time frame. Support here is $1.99, and sounds like a discounted price, but yeah, $1.99. We might test it, yeah. But also here, target should get to $6.90, maybe even $8.50 if things go really well in this cycle. Again, that is also based just on current price action, price data. Let's assume, where are we now? $3. Let's assume we buy here around about now, set the stop below $1.99. Say it might just go to $6.90. Talking about round about a 3.3 reward to risk ratio. That is decent. If it goes to $8.50, it even raises it all the way up to nearly 5. It's pretty good. If the price goes a little lower, even more attractive. From an Elliott wave point of view, it's typically recommended to have the largest position size most close to the stop. Yeah. So if you're trading the larger pattern, it might make sense to wait for a little lower. But then I would not always rely on that one more low. It might not even happen. I mean, we can make a case that the wave 4 already bottomed. All I want to communicate here is this is still a chance that, or a chart that has a good chance to reach actually all-time highs in this cycle, provided that $1.99 level is holding. Now, again, also here on the shorter time frame, we get a stop level that is even closer to the current price. And while I record this video, we're already trying to break above initial resistance. So this is what I communicated to our crypto community earlier today, that this is still a valid 1-2 setup. The invalidation point is here around $2.39, and this might go higher more directly. I mean, it's now broken above initial resistance. That is certainly interesting. It does allow for one more low, but to be fair, this is what I would never really rely on in crypto. You know, because these last waves down sometimes just don't happen. That's sometimes something we know. You can't really predict that, but you can prepare for it. And overall, we're now already breaking above resistance. So if this turns into a 5-wave move up and a higher low afterwards, then this would be an even better setup, because this would give us 5 waves up in wave 1 of the next move up, 3-wave pullback with a stop below that low from Tuesday. But this is only a smaller time frame perspective. If you're interested in these smaller time frame perspectives, check out our gold membership for the crypto service. You can join a community of traders and you get a lot of updates intraday throughout the day for various coins, all these three as well included. I also cover a lot on our More Crypto Online YouTube channel. You can find the link here in the description as well. But this is interesting also from a larger time frame point of view, still one of the more healthy charts. As I said in one of the previous updates, I covered the topic of altcoin season and warned again that the altcoin season, if it happens, it is not going to be what many people would like to see. That was sort of my message throughout the entire cycle that is related to the larger Bitcoin pattern, which I discussed on this channel in the Bitcoin video. So you can find it all here still on the channel. These videos on this channel are all still relevant. They are made more from a macro point of view. They explain indicators, they explain sentiment, they explain opportunities like in this video. So I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. Make sure that you also subscribe to our More Crypto Online channel if you haven't done that. And let me know any video suggestions and also let me know which all-time high targets you expect for these coins. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.